Done. We have Marg here today. Tom Hitchcock here. How are you?
I'm good, Tom, and I'm really curious to find out, how did you find me?
LinkedIn. It's this lovely professional networking tool that we've all signed up to, and pretty much fit into the recruiter default mode. That's how we find people. So
Beautiful.
good question. Put me on the back foot
Mm.
straight away. I like it. So. But I have to say, and I know I mentioned this just when we weren't recording then, I do love the color coding. Was that on purpose?
Yeah, I am. I have done all my personal branding colors in terms of, like, if you're going to spend the money, right? If you're going to spend the money on branding, you better well take it seriously. So yeah, I do. I do make sure that I've got my navy and white on, or my gold and navy, which is brand colors. And so that's what I try and do is keep to I guess the what's the best way of saying it? The way that I show up will be recognized through through how I dress, how I speak, um, and yeah, I just think it's really important.
I think so too. It's every opportunity, every touch point that you've got, and I love the fact that you jump straight into that. Now, I can see the sun is shining where you're at. Surely that's not Melbourne.
Oh, come on. Yes, it is. In Melbourne, this is a look. I have to tell you that you probably don't know this, but we're number one on the Wanderlust, top destinations to go in the world. I love to always get that in, mainly because I'm currently working on a. So do you want the scoop?
Yeah,
Do you
go
want the
for it.
scoop? I'll give you the scoop. Okay, because I haven't talked about this ever. But I'm bringing a global summit to Melbourne. I'm so excited that they've chosen Melbourne as opposed to Sydney. You always seem to get all the big global summits, but I'm going to be doing being the event partner, the lead generation concierge to those coming to our shores. So I'm excited. Poor us poor Melburnians, we get such a bad rap. So it really lights me up to be able to bring people to Melbourne because I'm passionate about, seriously, after you've seen the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, what's next?
No, I love it. Listen. You've got to have the banter between the cities and poor old Camper. We'll leave that one as a byproduct, hey. But okay, all right. So I don't know how much you can say about this event, but when's it due to happen?
It's going to happen in June of this year. We're actually, and it is hinging on us getting a major sponsor, so that's the actual focus at the moment. But it's going to be an exciting time because as I've looked at the calendar, I mean, just had the Australian Open here. We have to rub it in. Then we'll have Grand Prix and the International Comedy Festival. April, as you know, is our Easter and the end of school holidays, Anzac Day. And then in May is no point having any form of an event in May because we're having our federal election. And that will be just distracting, and people will be not wanting to put their hand in their pocket to buy a ticket to go because they're too scared they don't know what's coming in the future. So June, apparently there's going to be a big rising festival where we're lighting up our city in the arts and culture precinct, and I'm excited that I'll be able to bring all these global leaders through the magazine that actually featured me called CEO Scoop. I'm so surprised, Tom, that what I've worked out is being loyal to one. Like when I was first approached by CEO Scoop to do a cover feature on me, I thought it was a scam. And so I did all my due diligence. And the first thing I did was I looked at who was on the cover the month before, reached out to them on LinkedIn and said, is this for real? Is this true? And is it a scam? Right? So that's the first thing I did. And the surprising thing is that when that happens, it's like, as we would say in Australia, bees to a honeypot or flies to meat, right? So every single magazine known to man has come and said to me, we want to feature you on the cover of our magazine. And I'm like, what story are you going to say? I've already told the story in one magazine, right? what are you going to say? The same story over and over. And I don't want to, and going back to my point, I don't want to dilute my message and I don't want to dilute my brand. And the CEO scoop opportunity, yes, I had to pay a bit of money. And the way I looked at that was, oh no, they're not a scammer trying to take my money. What I believe the benefit was for me is, first of all, they've got to make a buck. Everyone's got to make a buck. Let's just put that aside, right? And then I thought, okay, so this is a publishing PR thing. Now, some people do it in, I don't know, they invest in CEO, Facebook ads. I just chose this route, and then I stayed loyal. So in the opportunity, I got the cover feature, and then they say they will do one more story on you. And I was like waiting, going, like this, they haven't reached out to say, what are you doing next? And I woke up on New Year's Day and I was entered into the 50 top disruptor list. And I'm like, okay, so they've put me into that list. How did they decide that? And again, that thing called LinkedIn, where you're showing up and you're either doing something meaningful, purposeful, passionate, something that's really got some meat in it, is how I got myself entered into it. Mainly, and they put that under the topic of lead generation and networking is what I got the disruptor for. Mind you, I'm not finished. I'm just going to disrupt a lot this year. And then what happened is, from that cover magazine and staying loyal to the CEO scoop, I have then been approached to be his event partner. And imagine if I had gone and sort of like prostituted myself and went, yeah, I'm going to put myself on like a bit of a hooker on every like magazine cover, and you're completely diluted and you're not building relationship with them. You just look at me. And so I decided to go just one, because I just wanted to see what one would do for me before I say yes. So now I'm sort of just flicking them all away. And it's surprising because, they're doing now, they give you a price and then they go, oh, well they take $500 off it. And I'm like, honestly, it's just too funny. So I'm excited that I'm doing it for him. And it's a game changer for him because it's their first event ever to combine the magazine. He's putting the trust in me. He said he chose me because he trusts me. And it gives me an opportunity to show the world about something that nobody knows about me, that I ran a corporate event management business back in 1996 to 2002, and it was one of the best in Melbourne. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I give the opportunity now to show people that I can do that and have conversations with everybody along the way. And who knows what opportunities will open up for me. So that is exactly what I'm working on at the moment. So excited. And you are the first person to know about it.
Love it. Well, I feel privileged and honoured, and we've got this recorded, so there's no escaping this one. That sounds really fascinating, and there's a fair bit to unpack here, but what I do like about your journey with this particular opportunity is how you had the options to do, you can say the right or wrong thing. But I think if in most cases, a lot of people, once they've got the eyes on them, they don't make hay while sun shines, and you've gone the other way. So you can almost kind of A/B test it to see, let's see what happens from this, and it's paid off significantly.
It has.
Fantastic what you've done.
Loyalty, trust, authenticity, connecting, building their relationship. These are just, so many people just think, oh yeah, I connect. No, they don't. That it's like the biggest buzzwords out there, authenticity. And we're seeing, I think, if you look at our world now, I think we can see that there is, let's take Mark Zuckerberg. Let's just talk about him for a moment, in terms of oh, now he's changing all his goalposts to get in bed with Trump and Elon. Like, seriously, I can't see through that.
It's very transparent that the turncoat, the public turncoat component. Yeah, I guess we're probably being cynical, but we're probably right with that one. That's for sure. But you know
Well,
what? Strangely enough, I did a video earlier today. So my background's mostly recruitment, and I talked to transferable skills. Okay, that's something that's always useful when for hiring managers, business owners, and they look at the attributes someone brings to the table that might be outside of the sector. And one of the things I just had sort of like a little thought moment where, you know what's actually really sellable now in the world of work is loyalty. Loyalty is a new transferable skill because it's rare. People jump ship, they go round on the merry-go-round. It's rare that people honor their word or honor a handshake. People sign contracts and go back on it immediately now. So that it's become that rare. That common courtesy is now just courtesy. That for me become a transferable skill, along with your buzzwords of authenticity and what have you. So your timing's spot on, because I was thinking about this earlier.
and then to your point, I did a post today that I've just posted in talking about disengaged, employees in the workplace. And realistically, if we have this quiet quitting and we have all these people who are, I was sold the dream and I got there and it wasn't like what I thought. Okay, they're coming one by one with this, expectation. And the first thing we know about expectations is that if you're going to have them, you're going to be disappointed in some respects. I basically said, if you got a payroll check and you get a job description and treated with basic respect and consideration, they're the basic expectations you should have. But at the end of the day, the thing is that what I was saying in my post is, given the fact that you've got employees who are expecting XYZ, and so you've got employers expecting XYZ, what people don't understand is that businesses are made up of people. They're not made up of data. They're not made up of algorithms. They're not made up of bottom line profit and loss statements. They're made up with people. And so, unfortunately, what happens is that employers, yes, they are going into they've got carry all the risk, right? So they want to hire the best talent. I get that. But what they have to understand is that they aren't going to get the best out of that employee if they don't develop a sense of camaraderie and put in those opportunities for face-to-face things that we used to have back in the 80s before we had all this online stuff, building that back in. Because when you make someone feel like, as human beings, our core desire is to be visible, to be seen, to be heard, and by that I mean really listened to, and to be valued. And the only time we can do that is in those moments of connection, face to face. And so I said in my post that if you really feel like you're getting no growth in this role, and it's, and the expectations aren't being met, well, hang on a minute. Why don't you be the change? Be the change. Go and take your manager for a fortnightly coffee. Get to know your manager. Instead of going, oh my God, he's on my ass. I'm not going to say that. They're like, he's always micromanaging me. Well, you know what? His is on the line as well. So when we understand human behavior, I think, and if we can get back to these basics of knowing, 1, how to collaborate, 2, how to have a quality conversation, 3, how to listen, and 4, how to connect, well, we're going to start to get somewhere.
I think so. I hear this a lot with employees in organisations where, especially when they debrief after work, and you can hear that the problem's never their fault, but they're part of the problem rather than being part of the solution. And I think what you hit the nail on the head with there is to be part of that change. So if I like to when we place people into a new workplace, we teach them to manage upwards. Okay, so the owners are different to the managers. They've all got different personalities, different vested interests, but get to your success. A lot of it's based on that relationship upwards. So you need to do exactly what you said. Make that contact, have those conversations, and it will bode well for them. I think that's really good advice.
And the other thing that I would like to say on that, the saddest part is you can't have that now. Do you know why?
Hit me.
Well, okay, so you go into work, and what's the first thing that people do? They put in their headset, and they plug themselves in. The end. Then they unplug themselves and they go home. Like, don't get me started. I can't. I was actually going to blurt it out, and I'd have to get you to beep it out because I don't want to get this person in trouble. But this person who I have constant contact with says that she wants to develop relationships within the business that she has employed her, and nobody wants to actually have a relationship. Yeah, it's very hard to go and talk to someone when they're like this. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? It's the normalities of the world of work that we live in, and we all wear different hats, and if we've got that ability to do that, and obviously it's more the introverted people that were more likely to do that, because the extrovert, they might do it temporarily, but they're welcome to take them out as well. So it's down to personality types, but it definitely allows for that to happen. And that's where working from home becomes, a bittersweet. It has lots of perks, benefits, less travel, and the fridge gets opened a little bit more than it should do. But you are quite right, and you're missing that human connection. You're missing bumping into people in certain rooms, in corridors, and asking about their dog, and the innovations. Oh, you just give me an idea, and that goes off. You can't do that this way.
No. Where did you get your shoes? I love them. You don't see the shoes anymore on this sort of Zoom, do you? Like, exactly. You don't look. You okay? You don't have those moments. And yeah, it's an interesting world that we're living in for sure, especially with this new AI coming out. And that's the thing of going back to our summit, because I'm so fearful of it, because I'm very much worried about the capacity for us to take a way to think, to speak. I mean, we don't even talk anymore because we text and we email. So that's gone. Talking's gone. Now we're going to have our ability to write and think is gone. What's left? What is left of the human senses when you're thinking about smell, sight, hearing, speaking, touching, that sort of thing? And then I've looking at getting this futurologist. He's a homegrown from Sydney, a Professor Rocky Scopoletti. I'm going to be trying to get him as our guest speaker. He's written a book called The Conscious Code, the morality of and the ethics of making AI intelligence conscious, because actually conscious is sort of more of the connection side, the self-awareness, self-regulation, emotional intelligence. And then you've got the intelligence side, which is obviously your left, is it left? I think it's left brain, which is more the logical thinking side of it. And
I think it's the other way around, isn't it? Sure, it's the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I operate out of my masculine, mate. I'm a single woman, so I've been single for so long. I've been doing it. I've been doing the man and the woman stuff, and I don't know where I am or wishes left and right. But what I'm excited about is to actually see the discussions that will flow out of that, and then because I want to challenge myself. I want to actually challenge myself to the point where I go, actually, I should really embrace this, because I want to actually bring some exhibitors where you can go in and ponder the hard questions, especially in relation to Generation Beta will be our first generation that will be raised in an AR world. They're between 0 and 2 years of age right now. And that scares the shit out of me, by the way. because I went back into the classroom after 30 years absence to take a little look-see around. Everything I do with my strategy is I make sure I do my market research myself. So I went into the classroom and I was shocked to see the amount of mental health issues about, back 30 years ago, you had about 3, and now they've all got all these names. And they're trying to pitch it around the fact that it's hereditary. They can't, I don't know, they don't sort of say where they start, but all my research has come back to when I read the stolen focus, because these kids that have smartphones in their hands, these big tech giants, have worked out through the Skinner's dogs, the rats, the pigeons, I don't know, how to get your attention, your eyeballs on that phone to sell more phones. And so these developing, so when, I'm on an iPhone, it's not fair, such and such has got one, and then you give in, and then you get this phone in the hand of a 10-year-old whose brain is still in a developmental stage where it is wired, at which point now we've got a rewired brain that gets to high school, and with the actual stolen focus, the goldfish can focus for 8 seconds, right? The average adult or child now in high school, 3. So we've got a rewiring of the brain that is now addicted to devices. You've got less focus, and we're wondering why we've got a literacy problem. And then we've got a situation where through COVID, we have now adopted online learning as the go-to, because it was a lot of work setting it up during COVID, and we are going back now, say the teachers, even though they get their phones, they put them in their lockers, and then they open up the next screen for the whole entire day, right? Which still has, and they are playing video games instead of doing their work, right? At which point I went, how on earth are these kids on video games? And then I found someone who told me, because she's actually got her whole business purpose around the problem with video games, because in the private chat rooms is where all the predators lurk, and the addiction to these video games, and that's why they're like this, because the teacher's over there, right? And as soon as you go around, they slide the tab over, so up comes the worksheet, and when you go by, they slide it back and go back to their video game. But they have worked out, because they're digitally savvy, how to avoid the server at school.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I think, to coin your term earlier, it's scary. Okay, so my generation, I think I was the first one out of my friends to have a mobile phone. I had no one I could ring, but it was exciting. And but then obviously you had the internet, you had the televisions prior to that. There's all these different things that different generations acquire as we evolve and improve. But I do question how much of an improvement that is. Screen time for a kid is something that I'm a parent myself. My son's 10. He's always doing woodwork with me. We're going, he does chores around the house, walking the dog, and he's good for it. But he hasn't got a phone yet. And I do my best. He does get play some games. This is a bit of a reward, if you like, but it's no more than an hour, And the easy thing to do is to give in and give them those things and give them all that screen time. And it's like, I get why parents do it. It means they can concentrate on what they need to do, and it looks like you're doing something that the kid wants. But the bottom line is you're doing more harm than good. Okay, you're better off kind of being called to be kind, if you like. So you set them up so they've got some strength, some independence, some nous about them.
Because when they're in school, right, and they're in that bubble, and they can sort of get away with it. The trouble is that because it is all screen-based learning, it means that they're not developing the skills that you and I have, that we take to the workplace: collaboration, how to have a conversation, how to read the room. Bit hard when you're zoning in, right? how to, just even in reading a book in your hand is how you develop the skill of empathy. And so, given the fact that we now have these kids that are coming through, and it's sort of like that, I don't know, when I was trying to mark these year 11 exams, and I was struggling because I couldn't read their handwriting because they're usually on their computers typing. And so I have been thinking about when I really wanted to be, I was Australia's only connector coach, because I've Googled it. I'm the only one out there that's actually teaching you how to connect. You can have communication coaches. It's different in terms of connection, because I can communicate to you. You can sit quietly. You simply listening. I don't know if you are, because communication is sort of sometimes receiver and sender. So I'm sending you a message, you receive it, and you respond back, as opposed to active listening, where you actually then process, validate, empathize, all the different steps you need to take to connect, as opposed to respond as a good communicator. So when we get to year 12, they then go probably to university online on their phones, and then they turn up for an interview. I wonder how many do get through the interview, and then they get into this office environment, and then they go, I don't like it. Either they are rubbing someone up again, like the wrong way, because they've got no self-awareness. Well, I'm not doing what I did in school. It's different. So I'm really looking forward to doing some night classes on networking, like beyond networking and connecting, or your next career move, or if you're a business, to get leads in your door, utilizing the power of the network, which is all about connecting, as opposed to, okay, fine, go out and do your AI little content thing, put an ad spend on it, and hopefully it'll work.
I like all that. I think the skills that have been dissolved somewhat, for sure. That's probably where we get scared, because it's pointing the wrong way, the world that we're leaving behind. I've long said that hearing isn't listening, and a lot of people do, as of today as well, listen to respond. So we're waiting for a chance to give our answer, which at least we're waiting, but that's not as things are. Okay, and we're missing cues. So if we're not face to face, if we're not actually able to shake hands and pick up on those subtleties, the other things that make up most of our communication, then there is no connection.
No.
And if we can cultivate that, probably at a time we need it more, just sort of buck that trend a bit, then it's definitely got my endorsement, that's for sure. Listen, we're coming to near the end of this now. Okay. We could probably keep talking. I know we can keep talking, that's for sure. So apologies if it feels like it's coming to a quick end, which I think it has. First of all, how would someone make contact with you if they want to connect with you?
Well, obviously, yeah. Look, LinkedIn is the best way. Is to follow me if you want more content on this. Is the first thing, and secondly, it would be just to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'd just like to finish up by saying that the fact is that we've got a situation now where we can actually turn things around in our personal lives and in our work lives if we really take this connection thing seriously. So I really hope that I've touched on a lot of things here. I've touched on school and I've touched on workplaces. I've touched on a lot of things. But I think if you've really leaned in to this conversation, then I just suggest that you follow me for more.
Yeah, love it. And I've no doubt there'll be people queuing up to have a conversation with you. So listen, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to your event, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much.